This is where whiskey meets wine.
That's right, because this week we're looking at the Teeling Sommelier Selection Douro Old Vines edition. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt and I'm the whiskey nerd.
I'm Rose and I'm the whiskey nerd.
And like we said, this week we're looking at the Teeling Douro Old Vines, part of their sommelier selection. So let me get into the glass and I'll tell you a little bit more about it.
So, wait a minute. Don't they have like an Explorers range?
Yes, we do, and we've actually reviewed some of their Explorer series whiskies. This is similar to it. So the Explorer series, it's where like they explore different wood types.
Yeah, and
Yes.
mostly it's in airports.
Mostly it's airports, so different countries will have different, like there was the Brazilian edition, the Japanese, there's a few ones. This is the sommelier selection, so it's more about, it's the same idea like taking their core blend, but this time finishing it in barrels from different kind of wine producing regions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in this case from the Douro Valley.
Where's the Douro Valley?
It's Portugal. It's actually quite famous for making ports. Like
Okay.
it's the Douro Valley is where you make port, but there's actually a red wine from the Douro Valley.
I am intrigued.
And it's like an old vine red wine.
Oh, what does old vine mean?
There's no real like term, there's no real protected definition for what an old vine is. Like vines can live, like wine producing vines can live for 100, 125 years. I think the oldest one is like 400 years old.
Jeez.
So, but like generally speaking, people say in the first few years they don't produce great wine, like because the vines are still growing.
Because wine ages?
Because wine ages, yes. But the vines are still growing. So kind of once they hit their full kind of size, then they typically make better wines.
Okay.
And so it's typically like 25 to 45 years old.
That takes forever. You need like multiple generations at that point.
Yeah, I think one of the oldest still producing vines is in California. I think it's a Zinfandel. Yeah, it's like 125 years old and it's an old wine. But
older than a vine in Europe?
well, yeah, because they would have to replant the vines every now and then. So so you will see wines, and typically vineyards will have like an old vine selection as like their reserve. Like this is like only from the old vines, and then their normal bottling is like a mix of younger and older wines.
Okay, that's starting to make some sense now.
Yeah, so this is from like a very rich, then very well developed red wine cask.
Okay.
Yeah. And it actually spent 16 months in those red wine casks. Now we actually originally spent about 6 years in ex-bourbon casks. It's gonna give you a lot of those kind of the classic kind of caramel, vanilla, butterscotch flavors. But then it spent 16 months in those kind of Douro Old Vines red wine casks. It is the same mash bill as like their standard kind of core, the small batch blends they have. So it's 75% grain whiskey and 25% malt whiskey. So it's going to have a lot of that kind of grain sweetness.
So some familiarity along with something very new.
Vine new. Yeah, and the idea being that like you can then look at just what the influence the wine casks have. Okay. Because the same core whiskey is the same. You can then look at the cask influence from them.
Cool.
Yeah. It comes in at 46% ABV.
My favorite.
Like most Teeling whiskies do. I think it was a limited edition release, although it's 24,000 bottles in the release. So it's not super limited.
Yeah.
It
but
will,
that's worldwide.
Yeah, and it means it will run out eventually. It's not a core product. It is non-chill filtered and natural color.
Just like the color is absolutely gorgeous. Like I can't believe that something this color is just all natural.
Because like Teeling mostly have like the black bottles. I mean, I've got the bottle
so
here.
You don't judge by the color.
Yeah, it's like dark green kind of black bottle, because whiskey until it's like, I don't know, like 10 years old in an ex-bourbon cask, will typically be like straw gold. It'll be quite light. Like bourbon gets really dark really fast because it's on that char, but after it's been used once, like the color gets quite light. And so some brands will add caramel color. Teeling don't do that.
Yeah, they don't.
So that's why their original kind of line is in those dark colors, so you don't judge the whiskey. But when they have like a wine influence like this, they really like to show it off and show how much impact it's had. So we will see Teeling whiskies in like the clear ones, the clear bottles, when they want to show off the influence of the cask.
Otherwise, I'd say if it's in a dark bottle, that's like enjoy the taste, the smell, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But I think, speaking of the taste and the smell, I think it's time we go in for the nose.
Nose time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sláinte.
That smells delicious.
Yeah, it is really sweet up front. Like you get a lot of like
thick.
Yeah, it's like melted brown sugar, almost like kind of that creme brulee style.
Ripe, thick and ripe fruits.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of that. The wine influence is there. Like
there's something black, some black fruit. Or
like a blackberry, like a cherry.
Ooh, dark cherry.
Like you get some of those red wines, they actually have those plummy, dark fruit notes to them. They're not like bright red fruit, especially when it's like a bit of an older wine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're getting here with.
It's just so thick with sweetness.
Yeah, and it's on top of that kind of the base of that bourbon, which gives it a good kind of layer.
Yeah.
It gives you like the vanilla, caramel, butterscotch.
Yeah, your typical ones, but in a very good way.
There's a bit of like almost like spice, like peppery spice, almost like not like a pot still peppery spice, not like that kind
You are obsessed with pepper after all.
Not like a cracked black pepper, but almost like a white pepper, like you would.
Well, there is something in there.
Like you get in some wines, where you get that slightly peppery kind of like tannins, like those kind of like notes come through. Yeah.
When I smell it, my mouth is just like salivating.
Yeah, it is really sweet. Luscious. Yeah, it's very like wine influence forward, but like in a good way. It's It is not like wine flavored whiskey, if that makes sense. It's not like the wine is overpowering. It's just adding a lot of those kind of fruity notes to it.
Yeah. Do you get anything else?
No, it's mostly just that like bright wine influence, the bourbon influence as well. But I think let's go in for the palate. See if it's still as fruity.
Okay.
Let's launch it.
Cheers. Holy cow! Whoa! What?
Any more? No, it's really like thick. It's really almost like syrupy, honeyed. Like the mouthfeel of it is really thick, but it's not like super sugary sweet. You get that like it's like that. It feels like you're drinking honey, but then you get that spice, the red wine.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
First, it's that sweetness, the thick, luscious sweet. And then I get that peppery bit at the end.
Like there's definitely, like as I'm talking now, that's more into the finish, but like getting a bit of the oak barrels, but go back into the palate, it was almost like that, again, like that creme brulee, like the brown sugar, like that really kind of like sweet kind of flavor.
Yeah. I still get, I think, the like dark, ripe fruits in there, but like I would associate that with being like the same thickness as like a honey, like there's just like there's depth to it.
I'm gonna go in for a second.
So will I.
See if there's more depth.
Slancha. It is just really nice. Like I don't really get anything new on the second taste.
Like there's on the second taste, like it's those notes, same notes. Like it's like that spice is maybe a little bit more pronounced as we're drinking more of it.
Yeah.
But like it's that tannin. It's not really like the dry tannins.
No.
You get from like a red wine sometimes, but like
your mouth gets juicy though.
Juicy, like you're salivating.
Yeah.
It's that kind of like feeling.
I find it hard to talk a little bit.
Yeah, it's just really nice. But yeah, so I think that's the palate.
I think that's the palate. It's a lovely palate.
Let's go in for the finish. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, so it is, again, it's really super sweet. Like it's super sweet as it goes in. You get that caramel, you get like the caramelized berries almost, that kind of flavor.
Yeah, I get like a nice tingly sensation.
Yeah. And
like
then,
I feel it.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like as I'm talking, as I'm breathing, like I'm getting the bit of that spice, the tannins, a bit of oak coming through as well. The sweetness, for me, it's mostly gone at this point.
It's still in my mouth.
But like I'm getting a lot of like, it's almost like I've eaten like a slightly tart berry,
oh,
like a raspberry, like a plum, one of those things where it's still sweet and sugary, but you're getting that berry, like the tart influence, that kind of, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's not super sweet, it's just, it's fruity, but not sweet.
Okay.
For me at least.
Okay. No, I just got like the fruitiness on the bit, and then the first bit, and it's lingering, and then like, I can feel it still, like it wasn't a short finish, I'd say it's a long finish. And it just lingering with those like spices and the pepper and everything. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice, yeah. So I think, well, we've kind of given away what our final view of this whiskey is. We like it, but if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays. We put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday, so if you want to see those, make sure you hit subscribe.
Yes.
But now, Rose, verdict?
Buy it.
Buy it. It's very nice. Yeah,
Buy
so
it.
the sommelier selection, I haven't actually tried all of them. I have heard good things about releases 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Ooh.
I've heard some of them were good. I've heard though this one is one of the best ones.
Well, I'm not
Maybe
surprised.
it spends longer in the cask or whatnot, but it's a really nice little whiskey. 24,000 bottles were initially released. I checked a couple of off licenses when I was doing my kind of research for this video, and there's loads of them still available. So
get them while you can.
well, get them while I can. But yeah, they're out there. I've seen some of the other sommelier selections are still available in different countries, so you should be able to find this whiskey. But if you like wine influence, if you like that red wine, the pour, it's less like a sherry, but if you like that kind of red wine,
like that thickness,
the thickness, the root, the fruitiness, if you like that influence in a whiskey, you probably really like this one. But I think that's all there is to say. I know we're going to keep on enjoying this.
Heck yes!
And we will see you next time. Slán.
Bye bye.